So shall I start again about PRT?
Good idea.
So it was quite specifically developed by Alan to show the neuroplasticity and that the brain can change. And so it's a wonderful approach based on working on the reprogramming of the neural circuits in the brain and for neuroplasticity. We also have another course run by Howard Schubiner where they use emotional awareness and expression therapy, EAET. And again, that's more on the emotional side of it. It's very in depth. It's something I looked into a lot in the early days and then decided, thank you, Carol, if you all want to click on that, no, don't click it. Copy and
No.
paste it somewhere. Don't click on it. Copy and paste it somewhere so that you've got it in case we drop again, because the last thing you want is to be in and out, in and out. And I'll apologize now if that happens. I'll pause while you copy and paste that. This hasn't happened before, so I'm glad you're here, Carol. So there are various different trainings now. The EAT is more focused, I would say, for people with, counseling, psychotherapeutic, professional backgrounds, and not ideal if you're working online unless you're fully trained in that way, because it's based on ISTDP, which is an intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy. Now, we use emotional awareness and expression. We just don't use specific EAT. We use reprogramming. We use pain reprocessing therapy, but not, we don't train it exactly as Alan Gordon does. Okay. So what I would say is that our training is the most comprehensive. There's no doubt about that. It includes the emotional, working on the emotional sides. It includes working on the underlying trauma sides, which PRT doesn't do. And it includes obviously the brain retraining. We look at lifestyle, we look at behaviors, self-induced stress, ways that we create self-induced stress, like learned behaviors, personality traits, looking at lifestyle and that sort of thing. Is there anything you feel you could add, Carol?
Also beliefs, that's a big one.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And values. I mean, it's such a comprehensive kind of journey that we go on, that it will open up a whole new world. That's all I can say. Because being a psychotherapist, I have or had a particular way of working with people, but mine has changed completely. And it's much more exciting. It's much more varied. So yeah, I don't think anybody would regret doing this training at all.
And I think the other thing is that we, when we updated all the training last year, we made the first level an experiential course. And that was quite specific because we all have emotions, we all have a mind and body, and who hasn't had, a cold, an infection, a sore throat, a headache, a migraine, or whatever. When it's interesting watching people when they start this training, because you see them thinking, oh, yes, I can see how that works for that patient's sciatica or this back pain or migraines. But by the end of it, you go, oh, my God, you see how it impacts us day to day, every minute and every day. Oh, boy, am I using this work at the moment, I can assure you. And I have to, okay, or I wouldn't be running this. So it's really, so for example, being able to take myself off and have some time to work, not just work at my son's, who happens to be in America at the moment, very badly timed, but actually to have a bolt hole, to do some somatic work, to do some journaling, to meditate, to nap because the nights are broken, that sort of thing. Do you see what I mean? So the experiential level one is what used to be in our level one initially, but actually it's used, we work through it, people work through it now in a very experiential way. And I know, Carol, you went through your own personal journey, and many people go through their personal and professional journey when they're doing this work. And I think the more we experientially do it, the better we are as practitioners as well. Does that help? Any other questions?
I wonder if I should wait and come back when other people have had a go.
Yeah. Okay, Caroline, thank you. And Steph, yeah?
Yeah, hi. So I'm a physio and I work mostly with people with vestibular conditions, but FND and functional dizziness. And yeah, I've used a lot of the techniques sort of informally. Well, more, not a lot of them. I say I've used, and I used to work in chronic pain. So I've used like the somatic tracking and things and found it really helpful. And I'm also like really keen to sort of to be able to adopt a more holistic approach, like you're saying about lifestyle, diet, sleep hygiene, kind of, beliefs about what's happening to you into my practice. So I guess you kind of already answered it, really. It sounds like, I don't think it's specific to pain, in that
No.
way. Um, and I guess I was just wondering a little bit, like, we don't have a psychologist or any psychotherapist or anyone in our team. Um, so it would just be, yeah, I guess, it's like learning that demarcation when you need to refer on.
Mm.
But I guess that's what I was kind of wondering really is like, it seems like it's suitable for that patient population. Um, yeah, from a
Yeah.
physio
So
point of
we
view.
have people who specialize in different areas. We have somebody who specializes in dizziness.
Mm,
And Carol, you work a lot with fatigue conditions, don't you? So Carol and Kim, one of our other psychotherapists, they basically head up the fatigue side of SIRPA if people have any particular questions about that. On the whole, with some nuances, then it's the course basically covers any neuroplastic condition. So any mind-body condition. What I would say is, because I know in the past there have been fears around, we're taking over the role of a psychotherapist, or the psychotherapists feel that we're encroaching on them. And we would say that we're not using talk therapy. The work very much, and again, this is different from the EAT and the PRT in that we very much work more somatically these days. We use a lot of self-soothing, calm, connected breathing. That's one of the first things that we do. We teach provocative testing, emotional awareness, building the felt sense, because whatever symptom you have, if you have no felt sense, or you're alexithymic, which is basically the same thing, and then you're more likely to have a symptom. Whereas the better your felt sense, the more likely you are to address that before you end up with problems with symptoms.
mm,
So we very much work on the physiological response to stress. We're not using talk therapy. So
yeah.
this is physiological changes, whatever it happens to be, whether it's dizziness, whether it's Raynaud's or fatigue conditions, all sorts of ones. So it used to be focused on chronic pain, but there's really more about the marketing side, because you've got to be specific really to get it out there. But now we've just sort of started including the fact it is all neuroplastic conditions. I know the other thing I was going to say is we have a really wonderful community of practitioners. We have a membership, and that you get 2 free months going through the training, and you can carry on with that. It's only £25 a month. But this brings you such a wonderful community of people to reach out to. We have lots of ways for people to gain peer support. So we have twice a month, we have peer support webinars. We have CPD webinars that people can access for free as a member. We have occupational groups. So we have a group of physiotherapists that meet. I think most of these groups meet once a month. We have a group of psychotherapists, a group of coaches, a growing group of doctors. I'm trying to think of what else, but these are run by members. And then we have annually a CPD weekend, which is coming up in November, where that's very popular because you actually get to spend a whole weekend with people who speak your own language. And that's so important for us, because quite often we're very isolated, and maybe our family, friends, colleagues just don't get this. So,
I just feel like we're not getting to the root cause maybe with a lot of our kind of, especially our dizzy and FND patients, and I want to apply for funding through my workplace, so I wanted just to clarify that it's very somatic, and it's gonna still be just so that I can put all of
and we have quite a few people who are funded more and more over the last few years, have their training funded by their NHS trust.
Brilliant, thanks for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
And just also to say there are supervision support for different groups as well. There's a group of supervisors. I'm one of them, all from different modalities, which you are able to gain access to as well. So have continued supervision. 4 times a
Absolutely.
year is what we recommend.
Yeah.
But of course, more than that, and there's an option to join a group as well. So there's quite a lot there. And it would encourage you, if you do take up the training, to have a buddy, because that's
Yes.
a really great way to connect with somebody. You're supported each other. My buddy Iralee, you know, we haven't looked back since we started our training together.
She's on the board too.
She's on the board too, yeah. And in fact, we started to do wellbeing groups together as well through SIRPA. So there's lots of opportunity for growth as a person and a professional.
Mm.
And we also have a membership group on Facebook. So all our training and almost everything else is on New Zenler, but on we kept the membership group on Facebook because people generally go on Facebook and therefore they're more likely to see notifications. And I can't tell you, you know, there's no hierarchy. People comment on that on the CPD weekend. People you won't be put down. You know, if somebody feels, oh, I can't ask that question, it seems so stupid. Nobody will make you feel a fool. Everybody will be supportive. If you need to refer somebody on, you can do that within the group. You can ask for advice, tell people what you've done. And, you know, again, we've got to obviously be careful data protection wise, but it's a very, very supportive group. So now I think there was a question in the chat.
Can I just jump in? Also, there is business support, because working online can be different to working, you know, one-to-one within a team of people. So there is support for that as well.
So yes, we have an OT group. That's the newest group. So thank you for asking, Caroline. So I can't remember, I think there might be half a dozen OTs now. And Jackie, you asked about the difference between EAT and what you do with the emotional work. Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I went on a course with Alan Abbas, who has been, you know, working a lot with and leading in the world with EAT, with ISTDP, which EAT developed from. And I said to Howard Schubiner, who's been my mentor, I've known him and stayed with him. I went to the first conference in 2009. I just knew he was getting into this. And I said, Alan's here in Sheffield near me. Should I go on the course? And he said, oh yeah, it's really worthwhile. I went, it was fabulous. It was really good. But you know what? I don't want to be a psychotherapist. And I also didn't want to, by then I was setting up SIRPA, and I knew that I needed to focus on setting up SIRPA and not be doing this course or that course or whatever, because my calling was to start training other people so more of us had more support. Because when I started back in 2007, there was no peer support on this side of the Atlantic. Okay, so that was my priority. Having said that, I have worked with Howard for a long time. I know what this work is about. I've followed his work, and I've used it, the EAT, with a few patients, and certainly one I can remember in my office or my clinic at the time, a few years ago. And it just made me think, I do not want to do this online. As a physiotherapist, I do not want to do EAT, because it's really getting, I don't know, have any of you seen the film about Howard Schubiner's work about EAT? Again, someone's going to, thanks Caroline, you have to remind me the name of that film as well, because you've got 3 or 4 documentaries now.
This Might Hurt. This
Might Hurt, thank you. And there are concerns in the documentary. One patient walks out because she says it doesn't feel safe to her to work with one other person, you know, who's another client, basically. Now, obviously, the EAT training is in depth and it will take you through all that. For me personally, as a physio, I didn't feel that I wanted to do that. I felt like and I remember talking to Howard and Mark Lumley about this recently, who worked together on this, and just saying, I wanted to find a more gentle way of doing that. And for me, that was a somatic way. So we very much use self-soothing techniques, connected breathing, building up the felt sense, doing a lot of emotional awareness work, somatic tracking. And so the emotional awareness is building that felt sense and becoming really aware of the emotions, allowing it to come up, but having already, a lot of what we're doing follows the research in the trauma world over the past few years. So this is about making sure that we help people build their tolerance to feel these emotions. So whereas in the past, and certainly when I came back from seeing Dr. Sana, it was right, journal about your past trauma, your sexual abuse from when you were 3, journal about it. No wonder people got nervous about working in this field. So now what we do, and we've all the new updated training is very much around supporting our practitioners, making sure that you are safe so that your clients are safe. And if you keep your clients safe, then there'll hopefully be no complaints about you. But it's really about making sure that we feel safe and secure and confident and competent when working with our clients. And these days, certainly for years now, if a client walked in, the first thing I would be doing is watching their body language, watching how they're breathing, because most of them breathe dysfunctionally. And then I would be teaching them about calm, connected breathing. I would be demonstrating it within the session. If suddenly their pain increases, I would get them doing some somatic tracking, some provocative testing, helping them pendulate between an emotion coming up and finding safe spaces, really feeling safe and being able to resource themselves. So by doing that in the early stages, then you can get them maybe journaling about less evocative things until they feel safe enough to acknowledge and express emotions. So we're doing the emotional awareness and expression without actually doing EAT therapy. And I have to say, it is really lovely to watch, isn't it, Carol? We both work like this, and it's been wonderful to see how this work has evolved when we started incorporating this real embodied approach to our work.
I also just wanted to say here about scope of practice for practitioners and the information that you've got in the training, and also we encourage you to develop your own wellbeing plan. That is part of the training. So it's it's not just about the client, it's about you as a practitioner and the support that you get as a practitioner. And I think that's what makes this quite unique compared to other trainings that I've certainly done anyway. Just thought it might be nice to raise that one. And
also Kim and Carol, again, the two that specialize in fatigue conditions specifically, also developed a lesson on the training, basically, as preventing burnout and what we can do. And the wellbeing plan plays a role in that. So very much this whole training has been, updated and incorporates much more about safety for practitioners as well as for our clients, and a lot of support. There always has been a lot of support, but there continues to be that as well. It's a real community. Any more questions? Go on then, Caroline.
Yeah, actually, would you mind talking about any research that pertains to your SIRPA approach, or if you've done any, and just sort of for pain or fatigue or any other of the symptoms you're working with?
I think when you say the SIRPA approach, we haven't done any research on the SIRPA approach. I'm not a researcher. We've never had anybody specifically do research on the SIRPA approach, because I would say there isn't one SIRPA approach. It's not like EAT is a particular approach, PRT is a particular approach. The SIRPA approach is incorporating within the training elements of PRT, elements of EAT, lifestyle medicine, all of these things that have been researched and are evidence-based. Journaling is evidence-based, mindfulness, meditation is evidence-based. So we bring in the evidence-based work, and then as far as I'm concerned, everybody is an individual, and I'm not going to use this. Some of them I would use more of the emotional awareness work. If you look at the studies that have been done so far in our work, so for the PRT, there's like 2/3 of them were pain-free or nearly pain-free after the treatment and a year later. There's another one using a psychological, what do they call it, Carol? Mike Domino's studies, where he uses more the.
So what we do have with each of our clients, we do take GAD-7 and PHQ-9, the pain. So we've got the ability, if we wanted to see them at first session, and then we do a follow-up at the last, so we can see the difference and that's made to them. So there is the ability to do that research, but it's not something we've ever really done yet. I would imagine it will be.
I think we're heading that way.
But, just to say that it's not, we don't just take a client in isolation. There's quite a lot goes into that client before we actually start working with them, and the information that we require to be able to find a suitable pathway. So although the clients have a lot in common, it's very much an individualized approach to that person. So we meet the client where they're at. Some people are much more advanced. They've, done quite a few different kind of approaches. They're kind of almost like a walking encyclopedia, but they haven't quite, hit on the bit that works for them. Other people come to us, they're highly anxious, in a lot of pain. Life is just a mess, so it just depends on the client. But we do have the same pathway to start them off from. Is that kind of helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Yes, it makes total sense. And it's quite hard to both start a SIRPA, the whole thing that you started, Georgie, and also do research. Is just,
I gave that up.
There's just maybe one last question that is perhaps a good segue from what you were just saying. Do you have a sense of the percentage of recovery of the people that come to see you? Because it's something that I've been kind of tracking a little bit myself with using the other PRT and EAT, but I'm just curious if you have got that sense.
I think, again, what we need is somebody who will come, and this is, again, something that's on the card, somebody who will look at, for example, all the case studies that everybody's done to be able to pull that out. And so we don't have any statistics at the moment. I think what to me is interesting, which is what I was saying earlier, was that the PRT had like 2/3 success rate. EAT had a good success rate. Mike Danino's work, published the same time as the PRT study, had a similar one. But the PRT doesn't look at trauma. The one Mike Danino didn't include the pain education. They all include the pain education, but the reprogramming of the brain. So if you bring in those, then you can certainly start seeing where somebody's at and what, maybe we can actually just think, okay, if they've had PRT, maybe actually, and they haven't resolved, maybe it is because there is some trauma there that's not being addressed. And I think it's important to recognize that there are always going to be different things. And to be honest, I get lots of people emailing me and asking for support. And almost everybody, when they email, who've been doing this for a while, like Carol said, they've tried this, they're walking encyclopedias, they are very much in their heads. So they understand it, they know it. And we talk in the first level that this is not about information. Yes, the first stage is education, but then it's about really letting things sink in. And this is almost always those clients don't usually have very much felt sense, and therefore we need to start working much more somatically with them and getting them out of their heads.
That's how I got into it, because I had a disc injury and horrendous sciatica, and because of the work in chronic pain, but I knew so much about it, but it was just making me obsess about the symptoms.
Absolutely.
And actually, when I started to adopt the more kind of somatic tracking and those sorts of techniques, I noticed
self-compassion
some big change. Yeah, I did the Kristen Neff. Is it Kristen Neff? Or yeah, and I noticed like some really quick, significant changes, and then I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's worked way better than obsessing about exercising my way out of it.
It's like everything is just sort of letting go, and rather the more we try and the more we resist, basically. Thank you. Tanya, hi.
Hello, hi. Thanks. This webinar, it's been really interesting. In terms of my career, I'm a social worker, and my work doesn't usually involve these kind of approaches, but I'm very interested in it because I've recovered myself from long COVID using a mind-body approach, and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm wanting to maybe change my career in a way that I can work one-to-one with people, but I haven't kind of identified yet what modality I want to use. And I was just wondering, do you think it would still be good for me to do this training, or would you recommend kind of, I don't know, doing further training in something else first? Do you know what I'm trying to
Yes,
say?
yeah. No, we get quite a few people who say that they want to do this work, but they're maybe not eligible for the practitioner course, for example. And it depends how you're working as a social worker and what your experience is, more than anything, I think. But the quickest way for people to do that is often coaching. So we actually just encourage them to go to do a coaching diploma. So a full diploma that has case studies and supervision, and that enables them to become regulated and insured as a coach, because obviously the SIRPA training is CPD. So you then need to consider, if you weren't doing any extra training, whether you your social work qualification was enough with what you've done. And this is about protecting you and making sure that you are supported and feel confident and competent. There's obviously, we have 2 levels now, SIRPA informed and SIRPA practitioner. So for example, Pilates instructors, yoga teachers, massage therapists, reflex therapists, they can become SIRPA informed so that they can educate their clients, they can provide resources, and they can refer on for therapeutic work. And therefore, if somebody wants to move on to do level 3, they need to make sure that they are have the eligibility criteria. So again, that they are either a doctor, physio, osteopath, psychotherapist, counsellor, and they are regulated by their own professional body, and they are insured to work as an independent, either coach or one of those health professionals. Because being a CPD course, you know, it's not just a standalone course, it's an add-on. So therefore, if anything happened, you need to be supported by your own professional body. So it's really just whether your professional body would support you in doing that. So is it within your scope of practice as an extra course? So obviously, you know, you're expanding your scope of practice, but you need to just double check that yourself first. But coaching is usually the easiest way in, I think, rather than doing like a 3-year psychotherapy course or a physio course or whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. Do you know anything about coaching courses? Are there any that you would
Yes,
recommend?
if you email me, then I will send you a list of ones that we have. So that other people have done and found helpful.
That's brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks
Good.
a lot.
You're welcome. Martin, did you have your hand up for a moment then?
Yep, I'm sorry, I'm not technical, very
That's
savvy.
all right.
Sorry, I'm an osteopath. Apologies for earlier. I was sort of in and out, but listening, and I thought it was a bit
Okay.
rude to have an empty chair, so I apologise for that.
No problem.
Couple of questions. First of all, I bought the course quite a while ago now, and because of personal health and parents' health and life generally, I haven't actually started it yet. So my question is there a time limit to getting it done? And if so, what is that? Is it got to be done by a certain amount of time? And is there a good time to start it? Do you have to start with a cohort, or do you just sort of dip into it when you're ready?
No, that's completely up to you. We generally, this is only our New Zealand is our second platform, but just because we wanted to really have everything on one platform, so there's no thoughts about moving at the moment. But we did move from our first platform, and anybody who hadn't finished, we just moved them on to New Zealand. So you can start the courses whenever you want. There's no rush to finish at all. All we say is that to be able to to be a SIRPA practitioner, you need to have done your case studies in level 3. So that's the practitioner course. Then the case studies need to be done within a year of finishing level 3. Okay, so it's only really that time limit comes in when you finish level 3. And you know what? That's not a cut-off and that's all, because if somebody, like you say, you know, we all have family things happening and all sorts going on. If that was the case and somebody and we've had this where people have maybe just not done the case studies for a couple of years, then we will look at what they have been doing. You know, if they've gone off and they've really done nothing in this field, all we would say is review the courses, go back through the courses and then start doing your case studies. So it's not a definite no, you couldn't do it anyway. But if somebody actually has 2 years, but they're busy doing the PRT course or they're busy, doing whatever else within this field, and they're attending CPD webinars and Peer Connect, then the chances are we'd say, we'd have it, it's all independent one-to-one, but we would advise depending on how they're presenting, what they've been doing. Does that help?
Yeah, that's great. And also, sort of cost-wise, you were talking about a subscription once you've completed it, sort of ongoing. Is there a additional cost with the training, apart from buying the course, obviously?
No, once you've paid for the
Supervision
training,
by your training, or is there anything like that going on?
once you've paid for your training, you've paid for your training. You've got it to do whenever you want. The additional cost is apart from the clinical supervision, that's separate. You pay the clinical supervisors for that, or you pay through SIRPA. So that's just for the case studies, but also to be one of the provisos of being a member now is to have at least 4 supervision sessions a year if you're a SIRPA practitioner. And that again is because we all benefit from, it's not even, I'll get Carol to say a little bit more about supervision, but it's not about somebody watching over you. It's somebody who's got your back basically and will be able to support and guide you. The membership is the ongoing payment, but you don't have to be a member. So it's that you can have 2 months free membership while you're doing the training. And it's your choice then whether you stop it at that point, whether you carry on and then stop it. And some people start a few months later, depending on their circumstances. That's the one that's £25 a month when you get all the benefits of being a member. But that's choice. That's completely up to each individual. So there's no ongoing cost, basically, apart from the membership and the supervision. And that's your choice.
So is the supervision a kind of in-person thing, or?
Yeah, I'll let Carol talk about supervision. As she's a supervisor.
Okay. So it's informal from the point that we meet online. Okay. But it does have some structure around you being able to bring any of your clients' work with you, and we can run through that. But it's also for you as a person, professional person, or what might be going on in your life as well. So it covers quite a broad range of options, when we're within that session. It lasts for about an hour at a time.
Okay, and we have
thanks, Carol. Sorry,
we have about, I think we got 5 or 6 now supervisors, but they are all. We'll come to you, Angela. Thank you. So each different professional backgrounds. But all of them, it is about support. It's about guidance. I have yet to come across somebody who's had supervision who didn't think it was amazing and that then carry on with it after care. Even before it was a proviso for membership, part of a requirement for membership, there were people who would carry on with supervision because, how many of us actually, when we're seeing clients, don't have some questions or get our knickers in a twist about somebody or, just get stuck in a loop with someone. And this is when it's like having somebody to bounce ideas off and somebody who's got your back if things are challenging. So there's always somebody to reach out to. Okay.
And just to say, as supervisors, we have supervision too. Okay. So
yes.
Just because we're supervisors, we don't duck out of it.
Yeah. And Angela. Hi.
Hi there. It was just from a supervision point of view. I think, Carol, I'm assuming then if you're BACP registered, would then any supervision that I undertook with yourselves be allowed to count for my supervision?
As far as I'm aware, that's so. I'm with NCPS. So yeah. I also have supervision under my professional body. So I have to have, because I do groups and I do individual people, I have to have so many hours.
Yeah.
But what I found really useful by having supervision by SIRPA supervisors is they've got a much better understanding of the work that I do. So it's, for me, it provides me with an additional support. Because I might be talking, and I've had this experience, particularly in the group supervision that I have, that to begin with, they were a bit, I won't say anti, but they were slightly confused at how I could manage to work as a psychotherapist and do the work I do in the way that I do it.
Yeah.
But times have changed now. you know, things have moved on exponentially. So yeah, BACP, I mean, I know Liz, she's BACP approved and registered, and she has no problem with doing this work at all. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It was just, you know, we do supervision monthly anyway, and it was just if I can use it instead of for some months rather than including of, but
I mean,
it would work out. I'm sure it would work out anyway.
Yeah, we certainly provide you with your, you know, keep a record of it. But what we do suggest you do is some reflective practice around these supervision sessions as well.
Yeah.
And that will then go towards your BACP approved supervision as well.
Yeah.
Should you ever be, you know,
yeah. That's
Can
great.
I also say that the requirements are that when you're doing case studies, the supervision has to be with the SIRPA supervisor. If you are a member and you're having at least 4 supervision sessions a year, that doesn't have to be with a SIRPA practitioner.
Okay.
It's only the case studies it needs to be with the SIRPA practitioner. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Carol, you've got your you're muted. We'll come back to you, Martin. Carol, were you going to say something?
Caroline has a question in there. What proportion of the classes are live versus pre-recorded?
Oh, right. Oh, they're all pre-recorded. This is an online course that you can do wherever you are, whenever you want to. The live part of it comes from really the peer support side of it and the supervision and that sort of thing. Otherwise, everything is, you can just dip in and out as and when you want to. Okay. And Martin, did you have another question?
Yeah, sorry. Obviously, we've all got other professions, be it osteopathy, physio, whatever it is. How do you find it merges with those? Is it a standalone thing, or can you kind of blend the two? Do you kind of advertise it as a standalone thing? How do you find it works?
And that is a very individual thing. Funnily enough, one of our clinical supervisors is Zoe Thompson, who worked in the office with SIRPA for 7 years, and is also another supervisor and is also on our membership board. So she left the office to set up her own business or continue with her own business and build it, which is called Build It Brilliant. So she has provided some of the courses on the business side of our within the membership, so that people can actually start really understanding how they can promote their business. But also she's exceptional at really sitting down, and I know she's done this with you, hasn't she, Carol, at one point, sitting down and getting out of you, how do you want to work? Okay, what's your passion? Do you want to work online or face to face? Do you want to integrate it? Do you want to keep it separate? Personally, for me, when I started, I was assessing people as a physiotherapist physically. I was then questioning them, so getting them to start questioning themselves. So you know, yes, there's a bit of spasm here, but you know, there's nothing showing that there's anything particularly wrong. But it's interesting you just woke up like this, and you know, maybe what was going on in your life, or I would start with some education. I very quickly realized this is the way I want to work, and because now all my work is online, if I'm working with clients, then this is the work that I do. I don't do physiotherapy anymore. However, we do have physios, osteopaths, massage therapists, you know, who are certainly the massage therapists, if that's their main profession, they would be working as a SIRPA informed practitioner. If they're a coach as well, then they learn to blend it. And at first it can be clunky, like when we learn anything. It can be a bit clunky, but then it becomes intuitive, and you just start recognizing, you know, some people will work physically to begin with, and then it will evolve into this. But because while we're working physically, we're listening and we're talking, and it might be they're not ready. So what I wouldn't say is just move from one to the other, because you might lose some clients. Not good for business. But certainly the one thing I did was initially just put a page on my website that talked about this sort of work. And then it was amazing how many people had read that page and would start by just telling me how stressed they were or whatever. And then what I learned as a physiotherapist, one of the things I had to learn quickly was to listen, slow down and listen, and not, because, you know, physios, osteopaths, we're doing, aren't we? We're doing things to them and making them better or whatever, trying to. And actually, I had to learn to listen more and observe more, observe their body language, observe their facial expressions. And by doing that, then I was able to start to, even if somebody was just sort of you said something and then there was a flinch or whatever, and said, so what's that bringing up for you? Just things like that, rather than just moving on and doing whatever else. So for somebody who wants to really look at how do I want to work, going online to Zoe's work or looking at her videos on YouTube or booking a one-to-one with her is a really good idea. But it's about you understanding what is it you want from this work. Does that help?
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Anything else? Yes, Angela.
Sorry, I had just posted there about I'm a counsellor. I was a massage therapist a while back. I didn't practice because I was back at college, plus I had a bit of long COVID as well. I've got a kind of nursing health improvement background, and I'm really keen to start offering. I work private practice from home as a counsellor, but I would like to get back into the massage therapy side of it, purely though just from a SIRPA informed approach. And I'm just struggling the past few weeks trying to picture how that would look like.
Yeah, no, I think you've been emailing me, haven't you?
I emailed you once, I think, yeah.
I think it's, to be able to do the SIRPA practitioner course, obviously the level 3, you need to have your counselling. Yeah. And so it's by having that you can't work as a massage therapist alone and use this. Yeah. So it is about integrating them. I think it might be helpful for you to chat to Shaheen, who's one of our experienced practitioners, whose main profession is reflex therapy. So no, it's not massage, but she went on to train as a coach as well. So she integrates the coaching with the massage therapist, and she's very good. So if you email me again, and just say,
apologies.
only because I'll forget. I know too much going on at the moment, but just say that you mentioned that I could put you in touch with Shaheen. So I'm sure Shaheen would be very happy to chat to you. Thank you. Yeah, that's all I can think of, because I mean, certainly as a massage therapist, like with a physio or an occupational therapist, or we have a few who are McTimoney chiropractors, and certainly Tanya, one of our practitioners who's on our membership board as well, is a McTimoney chiropractor, and she loves her McTimoney chiropractic work, and she wants to keep doing that. So it took her a while. In fact, I think she also worked with Zoe to just really get an understanding of how she wanted to work and integrate this work, and she really does prefer to start with her physical work and talk and educate and advise and give resources. And if she doesn't want to go in depth with someone, she can refer on. And again, I think for her, it's about just deciding what she wants to do. So everybody's very much an individual.
Yeah, I think I was just getting in my head, I was looking at that SIRPA side of it as counselling or psychotherapy, and I think I had to separate that from a BACP perspective in terms of ethics, and the two don't sit particularly well for BACP. So I think in my head I just wanted to sort out how it would look in practice.
Well, we have a lot of counsellors who are covered under BACP who are working in this field.
Absolutely, yeah. They just don't like the touch part of it.
Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So obviously the SIRPA approach isn't necessarily touch, but a massage therapy, yes.
So I was just having a bit of a struggle separating it, but I've got it now clear in my head where I need to go with it. So thank you both.
Right.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. So I'm going to put my email address in here because I know you've asked Tanya. Oh, you've already done it, Carol. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just thought that saved you a job.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And Jackie, do you have anyone I can talk to who is also an acupuncturist in SIRPA? We do. Yes, but I can't for the life of me think who that is. So again, Jackie, please could you email me and remind me, and I will look through the database, or maybe at another time it might just come to me. But I know that we certainly have had Simon in the past, but that was quite a long time ago. Yeah, I'm not sure, Jackie. I need to think about that one. And Martin.
Yeah, sorry, just on that. I've worked with Kat Meir before, who's an
Great.
osteopath. I know
Yeah.
she does acupuncture, as do I.
Oh,
So
right.
I think
Is she
it's
still doing
quite
acupuncture?
I think so, yeah. I don't see
Right,
any
okay.
reason why not. It's kind of part of what we do.
Right,
So
okay.
I don't really consider it a separate thing. I mean, I work in the NHS 2 days a week, and probably 80% of my work is acupuncture because it
Okay.
just works so well, and it's
Yeah.
quick. You can get on with your notes while they're having the treatment, kind of thing.
So
It just works really well.
Jackie, yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I used acupuncture in the past before I started doing this work. But yeah, so Jackie, you could always go on the SIRPA directory, SIRPA practitioners, and Kat Meir. You'll find her on there. You could always contact her directly, or by all means email me, and I could put you in touch and just have a think if there's anybody else I can think of. Kat is, like you say, Martin, is an osteopath herself. So whoever, if somebody's working as a SIRPA practitioner and does acupuncture, they would have another profession, because they're being an acupuncturist, because there are so many different trainings, we wouldn't say that that is on its own eligible for level 3, but it depends on the training. Okay, so there's that's one where we would get the board involved. So anybody who's an acupuncturist who is interested in the full 3 levels would just need to send us all their training, the courses that they've done, and we would then discuss that, because it's not just cut and dry. Because you know what it is. I mean, I certainly, when I was as a physio doing training, I did some Western acupuncture courses, and they were basic, and then I went on and did some of the Eastern ones, and it was very different. So yeah, absolutely, lots of different levels. So that's all I'm saying. It's not a no. It's just let's just put it to the board, and look at the training, the different qualifications.
I've just put Catherine's find a practitioner, Catherine Meir's information in the chat box there. So
you see, I knew I had Carol here for a reason. And Tanya.
Hi again. I was just going to ask, I know, but I think I've thought of one of the answers already to my question, but just in terms of if I was to kind of qualify as a coach and do the SIRPA training and become a SIRPA practitioner, is there any ways that SIRPA would be of any help in terms of finding clients? But then I've thought on your website you have a list, don't you, of SIRPA practitioners?
Yeah, we have a directory. Yeah. Yeah. So we can't promise that people will get clients from there. Some people get loads, some people less. But we are at the moment trialing a new directory with another, it's very new, it's not started off yet, but something that would actually then help with the marketing as well and get people out there more. But that's in its very early stages, with a guy who recovered. This is what's always good. You have people who've recovered from mind-body conditions, and then they've got these skills or this experience, like the people who set up Curable. 3 of them have all recovered, and then they've got this amazing Curable app now. So this is the same with this guy, and so we're just starting to work with him and do a trial this month. But yeah, and certainly within the training, we have suggestions as to how to get out there. And it's incredible how so many people are keen to do this, and yet when you ask, and they complain about not having enough clients, and when you ask, they haven't actually followed any of the suggestions that we provide within the training. Like, have you reached out to your local journalist or the regional journalist? Or, there's a lot of things. I did an open day, and I can honestly say I might have spoken to editors of Guardian and various other people these days, but I was shaking in my boots when I rang our local paper, nearly 20 years ago. And then she came to see what I was doing, and actually she ended up, her daughter was in the same year, the same school my daughter was in. So you just realize they are looking for stories, and if you're doing something slightly different, then for me that launched my practice when I left the NHS, just by doing and then a second open day I linked with a local spa. So we have all sorts of suggestions on how to write a press release and things. And then this is where Zoe comes in as well, because this is what she helps people with as well, how to get out there, how to use social media, how to develop videos of yourself. And it's finding your way. I think that's the thing. You know, there are, Carol, you hated the video side of it, didn't you?
And with a vengeance, would be fair to say, yes.
You find what works for you, but you started doing these really lovely ones of sitting in a garden doing short little videos to her phone, and then writing blogs. You get attention by writing blogs, and then SIRPA will share them. So again, if with our members, when people are following SIRPA, we're following them. Then whenever we have Adam, who's Lomax, who does our social media, who's wonderful. And he recovered from fibromyalgia. He's passionate about this work. He's working with SIRPA is his favorite job. He's self-employed, but he loves Mondays because he's doing our work. And he follows everybody worldwide. So, whenever he sees people who are sharing things, like recently, was it Catherine and Damaris did a workshop together. And we kept sharing their workshop and encouraged them to write a press release, and and it's things like that. So we'll always support people.